What is up, guys? It's your boy, BeatinTheBookie, and I am here to go over some NFL win totals. I'm going to give over-under rapid fire, or sort of rapid fire, on every team in the NFL with maybe one thing that I like or don't like about that team. So I'm going by DraftKings Sportsbooks odds, so I will just go in the order of DraftKings Sportsbook odds. Now, they just put the Green Bay Packers back up due to the Aaron Rodgers situation. So I am looking at the Packers over 10 wins minus 140. Now, the Packers do have the fourth hardest strength of schedule in the NFL, but they have Aaron Rodgers, one of the all-time great quarterbacks. He's got Randall Cobb back. I think Aaron Rodgers really wants to prove himself this year, as this will likely be his last year in Green Bay. So I definitely like that over 10, especially with the fact that he's obviously the best quarterback in the division. I don't see them having any problem with the Bears. I don't think the Vikings are going to be very good. So I really like that over 10 wins, minus 140. I wouldn't say I really like it. I mean, I like it. You just have to watch out there for the Aaron Rodgers injury bug, because it has happened a few times to me with that future. The next win total we have is the Atlanta Falcons over under 7.5 wins. Atlanta does have the 30th easiest schedule in the NFL, but I just think that the Falcons are total garbage. I think Matt Ryan is way past his prime. He turns the ball over too much. I thought the Falcons really should have got rid of him last year. So I'll probably take the Falcons under if I had to. Probably just won't even touch that one though. The Arizona Cardinals is next with over under 8.5 wins. The under is minus 120. They signed J.J. Watt in the offseason. They signed A.J. Green also. I don't really know how much those really help the Cardinals. Their main problem here is Kyler Murray's turnovers, untimely turnovers. There's no reason they shouldn't have been in the playoffs last year, but they kind of choked their way to it. I do think Murray is getting better. I think Murray will have a little more success this season, and I definitely think that they could win, 9 games, especially on a 17-game schedule. I think they could go like 9-8, but I do think it will be really close. So I would lean the over here at plus 100, but I probably won't touch that. Carolina Panthers over under 7.5 wins. The under is minus 115. I will probably take the under in this one. Just not really impressed with the Panthers. I think Matt Rule is just a total hardo. I think he's overrated, and they just don't have the offensive firepower besides McCaffrey to really make a run. And I think McCaffrey, he has to do too much and he gets too banged up sometimes. I think we could see that happening this year. And if McCaffrey gets injured again, you can forget about that win total. So I would lean the under on the Panthers. Now we have the Baltimore Ravens over or under 11 wins. The under is minus 120. I like Baltimore in this spot, especially with the flat number of 11. I think they could easily go 12-5. Baltimore's schedule is the second hardest in the NFL, but I think that Lamar Jackson will be much improved from last year. I think he had an off year last year coming off his MVP season. And, with Harbaugh, I always like Baltimore's chances. They try to win every game. They don't really tank any games, and they usually play hard for Harbaugh. So I'm taking the over at plus 100. The Chicago Bears over under 7.5. We really don't know what's happening with the quarterback situation. Is Justin Fields going to start? I don't really think he's going to start. So then you have the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton. So I will easily lean under 7.5 wins, minus 120 for the Bears. Now we have the Cleveland Browns over 10.5 wins, minus 120, under 10.5, plus 100. I think the Browns will be one of the hottest talked about teams in the NFL this year due to how they performed in the playoffs, almost beating the Chiefs. People are going to be very high on them this year. But 10.5 is pretty high for me. If it was 9.5, I would definitely take the under because I think they win 10 games. But the Browns are still the Browns, and I'm not really ready to say that I think they'll win 11 games. I mean, they could easily win 11, 12 games, but I'm just not ready to bet them at that number quite yet. So I would lean under 10.5. The next one is the Cincinnati Bengals over under 6.5 games. Joe Burrow is supposed to be healthy this year. I think the Bengals are rapidly improving. I think their offense has definitely some firepower. And I think they're definitely improving. And Burrow wants to win. The team has a lot of talent. So I will be taking the over 6.5 wins for the Bengals at plus 110. I think it's about time the Bengals start changing their ways. And I think this year Joe Burrow gets them going back in the right direction. So I do like the Bengals to win maybe 7 games. So I would take the over there. The next one is Dallas Cowboys over under 9. I love the Cowboys. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but if Dak Prescott is healthy, I think the Cowboys can easily win 10, 11 games this year. It just all depends on Dak Prescott's health. Plus, you look at the strength of their schedule, and they have the 31st ranked schedule this year. So they have almost the weakest schedule in the NFL next to the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think that's something that even Mike McCarthy can take advantage of. He's not a great coach. They did get Dan Quinn for their defense. He had some success at Seattle with his defense, obviously. So I think the Cowboys over 9 wins, minus 140 is a great bet. I also think they'll probably win that division. It all depends if Dak is healthy. And they say Zeke looks the best he's looked in his career so far. So we'll see about that. But if Dak is healthy, the Cowboys will definitely go at least 9-8, even with Mike McCarthy. The next one is the Buffalo Bills over under 11 wins, minus 110 both ways. I absolutely love the Bills over. This team is rapidly improving. Josh Allen's getting better by the year. They're very talented. They picked up Emmanuel Sanders in the offseason. They have Mitch Trubisky backing up Josh Allen now. So they really have some talent on their offense. And their defense is good. They're very good at home. As we all know, the Patriots are also weaker. The Jets are weaker. The Dolphins are a little stronger, but the Bills usually fare well against the Dolphins. So I absolutely love the Bills over 11 wins, minus 110. I think you at least get a push there. Houston Texans over under 4 wins. We just don't know what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson here. He is practicing this preseason, but he's got 24 cases of sexual assault against him. So the NFL has not said anything about it yet, which I think is kind of weird, especially when they suspended Tom Brady for, deflating balls. So I'm not going to touch the Texans prop because I just don't know what's happening with Deshaun Watson. If he plays, I probably would take them over 4 wins because that number is so low. Going 4-13, you would at least push. But if he doesn't play, I probably would take the under. So I just won't touch this one for now because nobody really knows what Deshaun Watson is going to do. The next one we have is the Detroit Lions over under 4.5. The under is plus 120. The over is minus 140. I am not really sure about the hiring of Dan Campbell and the Jared Goff trade for Matthew Stafford was whatever. We're going to see how good Jared Goff is this year when he's not in that Rams system. But I do think the Lions can possibly win 5 games, go 5-12. So I'll be taking the Lions over 4.5, minus 140. I mean, I don't know if I'll take it, but that's just the way I lean right now. The next one is the Jacksonville Jaguars over under 6.5 wins, minus 110 both ways. The Jaguars should be much improved this year with Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence. Everybody's intrigued to see, how Trevor Lawrence plays this year. The Jags have the 18th ranked schedule in the NFL this year, so it's not terribly hard. And I think it's about time the Jags start improving. They have some firepower on offense, but it's all going to come down to Trevor Lawrence. I think if Trevor Lawrence can win over 6.5 games, he's going to lock up the Rookie of the Year. I like the hiring of Urban Meyer. I think he will bring some cohesiveness to the team. He's definitely the best coach they've had in some time. So I won't play this one, but I would lean the over because it's about time the Jags start doing something. Now we have the New Orleans Saints over 9, under 9. The over is -115. I think if they start Jameis Winston, they win 9 games, possibly 10 up to 11. I just don't see Sean Payton having a bad year with Jameis Winston. I think Jameis Winston gets a bad rap for some things he's done in his career, for his turnovers, but I also think the Saints should have brought him in last year when Drew Brees was struggling with his arm strength. I think the Saints would have gone further last year with Winston than with Brees. So I like Jameis Winston. I like the Saints over 9 wins, -115. The next is the Minnesota Vikings over under 9 wins, -105 for the under. I would probably lean to the under here. I think Kirk Cousins sucks. He doesn't suck, but you know what Kirk Cousins is going to do. He's not going to lead you to a Super Bowl win. So I'm just going to take the under on the Minnesota Vikings, under 9 wins, -105. I think you at least get the push there if you bet the under. The next one is the LA Rams over under 10.5 wins, -125. I would probably, I like the addition of Matthew Stafford. I think their offense is going to be good this year. Their defense is always good. But we've just seen Stafford turn the ball over so much that, this is a pretty tough division. So I would probably take the under 10.5 wins, -125 if I had to. Because it's a tough division. And they have where is it? The Rams have the 10th hardest schedule in the NFL. So I think that will play against them. So I will take the under 10.5 wins if I had to bet that one. But I probably wouldn't because I'm not really, into that new quarterback thing. You don't know how they're going to play in this system. It could be great and, it could be terrible. So I just probably play the under 10.5 there. Even if they go 10-7, they'll still make the playoffs. So just because I'm going under 10.5 doesn't mean I don't think they won't make the playoffs. So I would lean under 10.5 there. The Giants over under 7 wins. The over is -130. The Giants have the 25th easiest schedule, 25th hardest schedule in the NFL. So it's a pretty easy schedule. I guess, when you're classifying wins, most NFC East teams will have easy schedules because their division was so poor last year that they didn't have many wins. So I'll take the Giants. If I got 6.5, I would like that more, but over 7, I think you at least get a push there. I think they would go 7-9. This is another team that just depends on can Saquon Barkley stay healthy. I think he already got injured in training camp, so he's on the PUP list. If I had to, I would take over 7 -130. I think they probably win 7 games, but personally, I will not be betting that one. I probably won't be giving it out on my futures either because I don't like it either way. Now we have the Pittsburgh Steelers over under 8.5 wins. The under is -135. The over is +115. So Big Ben is getting a lot older. They did draft Najee Harris. They did bring back Mike Tomlin. They have the number 1 hardest schedule in the NFL. Their opponents went 155 and 115 last year for a 58% winning percentage. So I think that's one factor you have going against the Steelers. But it's hard for me to bet a Big Ben team going under 500, especially if he's healthy. So that's a big if though right now. I think it's Roethlisberger's probably last season. So I lean to the over, but it's a tough team to bet. Their defense should be all right. Their offense, when they pass the ball, will be pretty good. But Tomlin is all over the place. This play calling is all over the place. And Roethlisberger, one game he's poor, one game he's great. So it's a very tough team to bet. But the number is so low at 8.5 that I could see myself taking the over, because I think that a Roethlisberger-led team could at least go 9-8. It's hard to beat the Steelers eight times in one season, so I think they have that going for them. So I would probably take the over, but with Roethlisberger's health in the air, I just won't touch that one personally. Next, you have the Colts over under 9.5 wins at -150. The over is -150 for 9.5 wins. So you're basically betting that Carson Wentz can win 10 games. Now their offense, was pretty good last year. And I think if Wentz is healthy, he can really, I think Wentz can really give them a boost in the quarterback department, especially if we see him play as well as he did last year. They did bring back T.Y. Hilton. They brought back Marlon Mack. They signed Xavier Rhodes for their defense, which can be good or bad depending on what game it is. But I definitely think they improve over last year with the signing of Wentz, assuming that Wentz goes back to his former self. So I would definitely lean to the over here for the Colts. They do have the 23rd hardest schedule in the NFL, so they basically have the 9th easiest schedule in the NFL. So I would lean the over here, especially in that division. So I would lean over 9.5 for the Colts. But at that -150, I probably won't touch it unless it goes to, -125 or something like that. The next play we have is the Kansas City Chiefs over under 12.5 wins, -125. The Chiefs, they come off their Super Bowl loss to the Buccaneers. They have the 11th hardest schedule in the NFL. Their opponents had a 51% winning percentage last year. I'm intrigued about the Chiefs this year. I don't know if, they just played a bad game against the Buccaneers, or did the Buccaneers, schematically map out how you beat the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes defensively. So that'll be interesting for me to see this year. Can they fix their offensive problems they had in the Super Bowl? They definitely shored up their offensive line, so I think they can. But for me, I'm just more intrigued about how defenses will play them after watching the Bucs. Now we know the defenses they'll be playing this year, most of them won't be as talented as the Bucs on defense. But that number at 12.5 is just too high, so I'm not going to touch this one. Although it's hard to see them losing 5 times in this bet losing. If I had to do it, I would just take the over 12.5 at +105, because it's going to be tough to beat Patrick Mahomes 5 times in one season. It just, it all depends when you go to week 18. Is the team tanking? Are they resting guys for the playoffs? Stuff like that comes into hand when you're betting the Chiefs, because they could be leading that division by 3-4 games at that point. Next, we have the LA Chargers over under 9.5 wins at -135. I love Justin Herbert. They got rid of the worst coach, Anthony Lynn, so they definitely have that going for them. They did cut Trey Turner. They cut Casey Hayward. They signed Jared Cook at tight end, so I think that's definitely an upgrade right there for them. But I think 9.5 wins is a little bit of a jump. People are expecting a little too much for the Chargers at this point, so I would lean under right there if I had to, under 9.5, -135. Next, we have the Dolphins over under 9.5. The under is -125. We saw last year with Tua's weak arm strength. Has his arm improved? As a Dolphin fan, I guess you could say myself, I would lean the under this year, under 9.5. Because it's hard to see them winning 10 games, especially in that division. They'll probably lose to the Bills twice. They should beat the Jets. But it's just tough to see the Dolphins win, over 10 games or more. So I would probably lean under here, My next one is the Philadelphia Eagles, over under 6.5 wins, minus 130. I am not a fan of the moves that the Eagles made this offseason. They cut Deshaun Jackson, who was always injured. They cut Alshon Jeffrey, who was always injured. They signed Joe Flacco. We all know, how their quarterback play is, right now with the kid from Oklahoma. And I think they're just putting him in that spot, too early. I don't know if he's exactly ready for it. So I will take the under on the Philadelphia Eagles at plus 110 if I was playing it. But I will probably not touch that one personally. The next is New York Jets, over under 6 wins, minus 120. Again, this is a team that Adam Gase probably set back quite a few years. The Jets had the 19th hardest schedule in the NFL. I think the kid from BYU at quarterback, Zach Wilson, I think it might take him some time to get adjusted. So I would lean under 6 wins, minus 120. I think they could go 6-11, and you could push it. I think a lot of these numbers, you're getting some pretty good numbers here at DraftKings. So you guys might want to go take a look at them. The next we have is the Tennessee Titans, over under 9 wins. The over is minus 140. I would take the over in this one. I love the Julio Jones edition. I love Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill has only been getting better every single season. Can they improve their defense? Their defense should be improved. I know they can't be worse than last year. So I will take the Tennessee Titans over 9 wins, especially in that weak division. They're going to have probably 2 easy wins over the Texans. So I will take the Titans over 9 wins, minus 140. Now here's a play that I absolutely love. It is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, over under 12 wins. I love the Buccaneers over 12 wins. They're coming off the Super Bowl. I thought last year that Tom Brady would be better in his second year in Tampa Bay. But, they surprised me, and they did. They won the Super Bowl last year. They bring back every single starter from their Super Bowl team, which is pretty much unheard of, especially in this era. They have the 29th ranked schedule this year, so their schedule is very easy this year for them, and I just don't see how the Buccaneers are going to lose 6 games so this bet loses. If they lose 5, you push. But I don't think you're going to beat Tom Brady 6 times in one season. So I'll take the over here, over 12 at minus 110. Next we have the Patriots, over under 9.5 wins. The under is minus 130. I would lean under here because we don't know what's going to happen with the Patriots quarterback situation. Did Cam Newton have a bad season last year? Of course. But was that due to him, not having much talent offensively? Will Mac Jones play? We just don't know. I think there's too many questions with the Patriots, so I would lean under 9.5 if I had to. The next is the San Francisco 49ers, over under 10.5 wins. The over is plus 105. The under is minus 125. I would lean under here, 10.5, minus 125. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is very good. And who knows how his health is this year. So, I'll take the under 10.5 wins because I don't see them winning 11 games this year, especially in that division. You have an improved Rams team. The Seahawks are going to be good as usual. I think the Cardinals will be improved. They definitely picked up some pieces this offseason. So I will take the 49ers under 10.5 wins. That's my lean there. The next is the Washington football team, over under 8.5 wins. The over is minus 115. A lot of people love Washington this year. A lot of sharps, they love Washington. They picked up Ryan Fitzpatrick. They got rid of, Alex Smith. This team should be pretty good with Ron Rivera. But I think people are jumping the shark on them. I'm not ready to anoint Washington. A lot of people are picking them to win the division, to win the NFC East. I've seen people picking up Washington Super Bowl tickets. I just don't think so. I think, Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's getting a lot older. And, they're going to have experience, But I think at some point the talent has to be there. They should score points on offense, but the over 8.5 wins from last season, I think that's a bit of an extreme jump. So I would probably lean under here, pretty much because everybody's on the over. And I just don't think teams are gonna improve, that fast. Last year they were playing for Rivera because he was going through his cancer treatment and stuff. So their motivation might be a little different this year. Their expectations are a little higher. I think some guys might let each other down. So I would lean the under 8.5 at -105. But personally, I won't play this play. My next play, the next on the board is the Las Vegas Raiders over under 7 wins, -110. I'm not a big fan of Carr at quarterback. He turns the ball over too much. He doesn't take blame for his turnovers. He blames his teammates too often. I do love Jacobs at running back, so I think he gives them a chance, but their defense is just total trash. John Gruden should get them to at least 7 wins. So the Raiders, they should go at least, I would think 7-10. If Gruden doesn't go 7-10 this year, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. But, I won't play this one, but I could easily see the Raiders going 8-9. So my lean there would be the over. But, I'm not a big fan of Carr. I like everything else they do except their defense, but Carr just doesn't do it for me as a quarterback. I think he's massively overrated. So I would lean over 7, but that's just because the total is set so low. My next play is the Denver Broncos. Not my next play, but the next play on the board is the Denver Broncos over under 8.5 wins. The under is +110. I would lean to the under here. I'm not a big fan of the Broncos, especially their quarterback play. I just think the Broncos are just a whatever franchise. They have not been doing much for the past few years since they won the Super Bowl. So I would lean the Broncos under 8.5 +110. There's just too many question marks at quarterback. We all know they have a good run game, but their quarterback play is always suspect. Is their defense going to be healthy this year? Are injuries going to kill them? Are they going to have to start a running back at quarterback for another game from COVID? Who knows? But this is not one that I feel comfortable betting. So if I had to go one way, I'd go the under 8.5 here. The next is the Seahawks over under 10 wins. The under is -120. The over is +100. I would take the over here, over 10, because you have Russell Wilson. You have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He's one of the few quarterbacks in the NFL that can actually win games by himself. Personally, I think that Pete Carroll should just roll Russell Wilson out every game and let him throw, do whatever he wants. Roll him out every play. You can totally abandon the running game with Russell Wilson at quarterback because he can take off and run by himself. So, but Pete Carroll does not play games like that. He likes to set the running game, even if they're averaging 2 yards per carry. He likes to just pound that running game and protect Russell Wilson. But this year, I think Carroll knows he needs to do something differently. So I think he might give Russell Wilson, more reign this year to let him decide what he wants to do. And I would lean the over 10 wins at +100. So those are all of the season win totals that are listed on DraftKings. I hope I can help you guys a little bit with this video. My favorite one out of all of them would probably be the Buccaneers, because I don't see how they lose 6 times unless Tom Brady gets injured. But besides that, I hope that can get you guys, help you whether you want to go one way or another. I know the NFL starts in 1 week with the exhibition games, the Hall of Fame game. We have 42 days until the NFL kicks off. I know that's backwards. I just realized that for you guys. But we have 42 days until the NFL kicks off. I just gave you my leans over, under, rapid fire. Those won't be my final future plays. My futures plays will probably be out about 1 to 2 weeks before the NFL season starts, because we have to go through training camp, see what we have with injuries, and then we go over it when we have the final rosters. So that futures package always has a couple max plays So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace.